The minister's secret. The anonymous email. The newsroom buzzed with the usual chaos of a Monday morning. Phones rang, reporters argued, printers hummed, and coffee flowed like a sacred ritual. But at her desk in the corner, Linda Okonkwo sat frozen, eyes locked on her laptop screen. The subject line of the email read, "If you want the truth about Minister Fashola, come alone to Unity Hospital Block C, basement, midnight." There was no sender name, no signature, just a single PDF attachment titled Harvest PDF. Her fingers hovered above the mouse before she clicked it. The file opened. Inside were scanned images of what appeared to be medical records, names, blood types, kidney compatibility notes, dozens of them. On each document, a small red stamp, Unity Hospital. Linda's heart pounded as she scrolled. A list titled Harvest Schedule Confidential stopped her cold. It looked like a surgical roster, dates, initials, donor IDs, and the name T. Fashola scribbled under Approving Authority. Her boss's voice snapped her out of the daze. "Linda, budget protest outside the assembly, you're on it, now." She closed the file quickly, nodding. "On my way, sir." But her mind had already left the protest. Something big was brewing, something dangerous, and she knew, if this was real, it could cost her career or her life. Unity Hospital. Unity Hospital looked clean from the outside. White walls, blue gates, a banner that read, "Affordable Health for All." But under the moonlight, it felt like a mausoleum. Linda parked her old Corolla 2 blocks away. She wore a nurse's uniform she had borrowed from her cousin. Her recorder was hidden in her bra, and her phone was on silent, set to live stream to a private drive in case things went wrong. She walked in confidently, holding a fake ID. The security guard barely looked up. "Midnight shift?" She nodded. "Go!" She walked straight to Block C, remembering the map she'd memorized from a construction article. The basement was supposedly unused, but as she descended the dark stairwell, her instincts screamed. A faint hum buzzed below. She reached the basement door. It was ajar. Inside, a dim light flickered above rows of old hospital beds and medical cabinets. At the far end, a single operating table stood under a bright lamp. Stainless steel tools glistened beside it. And then she saw it, a cooler labeled O+ with a yellow biohazard sticker. Her breath caught. Footsteps echoed from behind. She ducked behind a metal shelf. 2 men entered, one wore scrubs, the other a suit. Linda's eyes widened as she recognized him. "Minister Tunde Fashola, you have the list?" Fashola asked. The man in scrubs nodded, handing him a clipboard. Fashola flipped through it. "We're behind schedule. We need 2 kidneys by next weekend. The buyer from Dubai is getting impatient." Linda's hand trembled as she pressed record. The trap. Linda stayed hidden as long as she could, holding her breath behind the rusted shelf. Her recorder captured everything, the voices, the names, the confirmation of organ trafficking. Then her phone buzzed. A low vibration, but loud in the silence. Fashola's head snapped up. What was that? He moved fast, pulling a pistol from his jacket. Linda cursed under her breath and backed up slowly, but her foot hit a metal tray. "Clang! Someone's here!" shouted the man in scrubs. They lunged. Linda bolted for the door, heart slamming against her ribs. She flew up the stairs, taking 2 steps at a time. Fashola fired once. The bullet grazed her shoulder, but adrenaline carried her forward. She burst into the main hallway, blood dripping from her arm, and yanked off the nurse's ID. Security turned toward her, confused. "Help me! He's trying to kill me!" she screamed. Fashola didn't pursue. He couldn't afford a public scene, not yet. But as Linda stumbled into the street, clutching her arm, she knew she was now a hunted woman. She had the truth, but truth alone wouldn't protect her. The black Jeep. The next morning, Linda sat in her flat, bandaging her shoulder with trembling hands. Her cousin Ijeoma hovered nearby. "Linda, you need to go to the police." "No, they'll kill me. Fashola owns half the force." She uploaded the recordings to a cloud drive, set up an auto email to release the files if she didn't check in every 24 hours. Then she spotted it from her window. A black-tinted Jeep, parked across the street, engine running. No one got out. No one had to. She'd seen the same model outside Unity Hospital. "They found me," Ijoma gasped. "You need to leave Lagos." Linda shook her head. "Not until I finish this." She called an old contact, Inspector Kabiru, an honest cop who once helped her with an arms smuggling story. If anyone could help her navigate this nightmare, it was him. But when he answered the phone, his voice was low. "You shouldn't be calling me. My office was searched this morning. They know you were at Unity." "Please, Kabiru, I have proof." There was silence, then a sigh. "Meet me tonight, old railway station, midnight." The betrayal. Rain poured over the rusting tracks of the abandoned railway station. Linda arrived early, hiding under a broken awning. Her wound throbbed and the streets were empty. At 12:14 a.m., a flashlight flickered in the dark. "Linda? Kabiru?" The inspector approached slowly, drenched. He looked tense, his hand never far from his holster. "You shouldn't have come here." "I had no choice. Look," she handed him a flash drive. "This is everything, the recordings, the documents." Kabiru held it for a moment. Then, something changed in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Linda." Two men stepped from the shadows, guns drawn. Linda's heart dropped. "You set me up." "They're threatening my daughter," he whispered. "I had no choice." One of the men grabbed her arm. But Linda was ready. She slammed her head into his nose, kneed him, and ran. She zigzagged through the tracks as bullets flew behind her. Kabiru yelled, "Don't kill her!" She dove into a ditch behind the station wall and crawled into an old drain pipe. Water rushed around her. Mud soaked her clothes. But she kept the second flash drive clenched in her hand. She had only one option now. Go public. Go global. If Nigeria wouldn't save her, maybe the world would. The death of Ijoma. Linda didn't go home that night. She crashed in an abandoned kiosk near Ojuelegba, using cardboard as a mattress. Her clothes were soaked. Her wound was infected. But worse, her soul was crumbling under the weight of betrayal. By morning, she finally dared to power on her phone. 37 missed calls, 4 voicemails. Then came the one that shattered her heart. "Linda, they came. They came looking for you. I told them nothing, I swear. But then, they shot her. Ijoma is dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Mama Ngozi, next-door neighbor." Linda's scream echoed through the empty streets. Her cousin, her only family in Lagos, was gone, killed as a warning. Her heart burned with fury. They wanted her silent, broken, erased. But instead, they had made her unstoppable. She stood, clutching the flash drive, her face hard, her eyes bloodshot. They wanted war, she would give them one. The revelation. Desperate, Linda contacted Amadi, a hacker she'd met during a previous investigation. They met inside a dusty internet cafe in Yaba. "I need access to government servers, medical records, Unity Hospital's network." "You're asking me to die," Amadi said flatly. "Name your price." Amadi stared, then pulled out his laptop. "This isn't about money anymore. It's about surviving long enough to upload it." He cracked the hospital's firewall in minutes. What they found was even worse than she'd imagined. 73 undocumented surgeries over 3 years. 41 patients listed as deceased, body claimed by relatives with no next of kin. Bank transfers to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. A secret internal memo titled Project Harvest, signed not just by Minister Fashola, but also by Dr. Bimbo Okafor. Linda froze. Dr. Bimbo Okafor was her late father's best friend, a family friend, someone who once bought her birthday cakes. But the real shock came when Amadi opened the classified organ donor registry and ran her own name. There it was, Linda Okonkwo, type A+, clearance, green, assigned, 27, Sonaib, 2025. "They were going to harvest you," Amadi whispered. "You weren't just exposing them, you were next." The secret room. Fueled by grief and rage, Linda made one final decision: infiltrate Unity Hospital again. But this time, not as a nurse. Amadi hacked into their security system and looped the CCTV feed. Linda entered through the back using a stolen ID and moved like a ghost through the hallways. She headed to the restricted wing, a corridor rumored to be sealed since the pandemic. But now it was active again. Behind a red door marked authorized staff only, she found it. A secret room, cold and sterile, with surgical lights, body freezers, and boxes of blood bags. On the wall, a glass panel displayed rotating footage of unconscious patients. Men, women, children, some in school uniforms, some hooked to IV drips. And on one table, a young boy, maybe 9, still breathing, tagged as donor 442, O+. Linda staggered back. This wasn't just a political scandal. It was systematic slaughter. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed behind her. "You shouldn't have come here." She spun around. Minister Fashola stood in the doorway, holding a syringe filled with clear fluid. "You had potential, Linda. Your father would have been proud. Shame he didn't know who paid for his treatment." Linda's eyes widened. "What are you saying?" He smirked. "He didn't die of cancer. He was poisoned, so we could use his organs. Project Harvest funded his fake chemotherapy." The world tilted. Her father wasn't just a victim. He was one of the first successful harvests. Escape from the dead. Linda's knees buckled. Her father, poisoned by the very people who dined at their table. All so his organs could fund a black market scheme disguised as chemotherapy. "You killed him," she whispered. Fashola smiled cruelly. "Not just him, dozens, hundreds, and soon you too." He lunged. Linda grabbed a steel tray and smashed it into his face. The syringe flew from his hand. Blood dripped from his nose as he cursed and reached for a scalpel. She darted into the hallway, slamming the door behind her. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Security surged toward her. But Linda wasn't alone. Amadi, watching from his remote terminal, disabled the main locks for 10 seconds. "Go!" he shouted through her earpiece. She ran, fast, past operating rooms, stunned staff, and terrified patients. As she exited through the emergency stairwell, she looked back at the children still lying on tables, at the boy tagged donor 442. She would come back for them. But first, the world had to see the truth. The broadcast. Linda and Amadi broke into a small community TV station in Agege with an old satellite uplink. Amadi uploaded the documents, videos, medical files, and recordings to multiple international outlets: BBC, Al Jazeera, CNN, Sahara Reporters, Human Rights Watch. Then they went live. Linda stood in front of the camera, battered, wounded, and full of fire. "My name is Linda Okonkwo. I am a journalist. Tonight, I risk everything to tell you the truth. Nigeria's Minister of Health, Tunde Fashola, is running an international human organ trafficking ring. Children are being stolen, the poor are being harvested, and government hospitals are used as slaughterhouses." She paused. "My father was one of them. So was my cousin. So might you be, unless we stop them. The evidence is undeniable. The files have been sent worldwide. Share this, save lives, make them accountable." The signal cut after 6 minutes, but it was enough. Within an hour, the internet exploded. Project Harvest trended globally. Angry Nigerians flooded the streets. Unity Hospital was surrounded by protesters. And by morning, the government could no longer stay silent. The fall of the Minister Fashola tried to flee the country by private jet. But at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, he was intercepted by Interpol and EFCC officers, acting on international arrest warrants. He wore dark glasses and a cold scowl as cameras surrounded him. Inside his mansion, agents found suitcases stuffed with US dollars, Swiss francs, passports under false names, and a final roster of pending donors, including journalists, students, and activists. But he wasn't the only one. 6 high-ranking government officials were implicated, including 2 senators and a state governor. Unity Hospital was shut down, its top doctors arrested. The boy labeled Donor 442 was rescued. His name was Samuel. He had been kidnapped from a school in Enugu 6 weeks earlier. When Linda visited him at the shelter, he smiled weakly and said, "Are you the angel my mummy prayed for?" She broke into tears. The price of truth. 3 months later, Linda sat in the studio of Al Jazeera, accepting the Global Courage in Journalism Award. Dressed in a simple Ankara dress, she told the world, "Truth in Nigeria has a price. Sometimes it's paid in blood, but silence is more expensive. I chose the truth." After the ceremony, she returned to her now famous blog, Eyes of Lagos, which had grown to a pan-African investigative platform. She didn't celebrate, she didn't rest. Because the scars on her body reminded her daily, justice is a journey, not a moment. Outside her office, a mural of her cousin Ijoma had been painted by local artists. Below it read, "The cost of truth is high, but so is the cost of silence." And Linda Okonkwo was done being silent. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.